They say when you meet the love of your life, time stops. And that's true. What they don't tell you is that once time starts again, it moves extra fast to catch up.
This is the homie Squawks. I forgot the video movie.
Movie Squak.
What?
Movie Squawk, yes.
You're
We are
fired.
the movie Squawk. And we're going to talk about a movie called The Big Fish, which was my pick, which is why I'm doing the introduction. So
Okay,
you're
okay.
welcome. I'm joined, as always, as Kyle says, as always, by Hannah, Kyle, and Trevor.
Hey.
Glub glub.
I'm just a big fish. Yeah, so let me... Oh, I was like, well, let me read it. And I put my phone down. Okay.
Fish noises.
I swear I have it.
Do
I don't know
though?
why.
Did the fish
Rot-
eat it? So now you
The
have to
Rotten
retrieve
Tomatoes
it?
is doing ads as I'm trying to read synopsis, so...
Wow.
Okay. When Edward Bloom becomes ill, his son William travels to be with him. William has a strained relationship with Edward because his father has always told exaggerated stories about his life, and William thinks he never really told the truth. Even on his deathbed, Edward recounts fantastical anecdotes. When William, who is a journalist, starts to investigate his father's tales, he begins to understand the man and his penchant for storytelling. Ooh, PG-13, for some nudity.
Some
Bites.
butts. There's some butts in there. Butts.
And suggestive references. Okay. It's directed by Tim Burton. Let's see. Release date was January 9th of 2004.
January.
Oh, it's a little bit, older. But I remember this movie, watching it a lot as a kid, and I'd enjoyed it, so I wanted to share it with you guys. Plus, like Hannah pointed out, it's not your very typical Tim Burton movie. It's very colorful. So yeah. So let's start with the questions. Okay, question number 1. From any of the stories about Edward Bloom, did you have a favorite one? Why or why not?
Well, I reckon I like the ones surrounding the circus.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it.
No, I did like the circus ones. I feel like that's kind of when I could truly confirm that Edward was like really exaggerating his stories. Like I got hints of it before then, like when he was born or whatever, and his baby shot way down the hallway or whatever.
Yeah.
And like there was like little hints of it, but they weren't like too far outside of the uncanny valley that it wasn't like I was like, maybe he's just exaggerating a little, but like by the time we got to like werewolf Danny DeVito, that's when it was like, aha, yeah, this is all him exaggerating.
This is where his rocker got off.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Danny DeVito turns into a cyclops, not a werewolf. Get it
Yeah,
right.
everyone knows that.
But I feel like that's also the point where I really became clear like what Will's problem exactly was with his dad, and kind of gave me a new expectation for all of the stories after that. So yeah, I like the ones surrounding the circus because there's a lot of visually beautiful ones, a lot of memorable visuals from that little bit, but also it made me understand like Will's dilemma with his dad and kind of the point of the movie and where his character was at. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same path as Hannah. particularly, I really enjoyed his story of how he met the love of his life, Sandra.
Yeah.
The scene in the circus, and I mean, it's the first time he sees Sandra, and he says to the audience as he's narrating, they say, when you meet the love of your life, time stops. And then in that scene, literally time stopped.
Yeah.
And everyone was just frozen. And just what I love about the scene is the special effects of everything just literally stopping in place, like the people obviously, and then like the cat in midair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the popcorn. And then I love how when Edward walks closer to her and he kind of like brushes some popcorn out of the way, it just falls to the ground.
Yeah.
And it was a very unique scene. And then also on top of that, I think Ewan McGregor's like acting in that scene, even though there's like no words, just his face tells you everything, that it's just
Yeah.
love at first sight. And I thought that was just a really cool sequence.
Yes.
For me, it was the one about the witch and the reveal that I guess like you find out she's just a normal person.
Oh, yeah.
But as a kid, like there's like this old witch who you stare into like her I guess her bad
glass
eye or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you can see how you die.
Yeah.
But I like to think that that wasn't a character, that was just Helena Bonham Carter. And like that's just what she does in her
probably
time off.
She just
Yeah.
shows people how they are
Yeah,
going to die.
like she has the witch and then she has the piano teacher, but like that's just her
Sounds
as
about right.
like a normal person.
It was a
Yeah.
bonus feature that they accidentally forgot to cut from the movie.
Yeah.
She just throws it on there. Here's some home footage. I don't know if you can use it or not. Oh man. Yeah, my favorite story. The same as Kyle's. When time stops. Like, I think I read about that scene is the people actually stayed still. I think the only things that were not real were like the animals, obviously the cat in the middle of the air, which like watching it this time was the first time I actually noticed the cat midair, so that was pretty funny to me. But I agree with Kyle, like his expression, just the way he moved towards her, like that was his world, that's his new meaning in
Yeah.
life, and so I love it a lot.
And I like the addition of how he said time has to speed up to
Oh
catch
yeah,
up.
yeah.
That
Just
was a
like
pretty cool addition to
you
it.
have like that moment of oh shit, and then usually it's just kind of like things go back to normal. But it was like nope, time has to speed up to catch up.
Yeah.
And that's typically like if you apply that to any other narrative where it's like that, it's almost like that's the moment when their love disappears. Like whoever they were looking at just a second ago is gone, and then they're like, "Oh crap, where'd they go?"
Oh no, yeah. But
Like,
then
wait, I
you
lost her.
see
Dang
it go
it.
fast through. Yeah. Okay, on to our next question. Speaking of the witch, if given the chance to find out how you die, would you want to know?
No. I think for me, I'd be curious, just kind of like Edward was, like, and if I did look, it would be only to satisfy that, like, itching curiosity.
Yeah.
But my intent would never be to find out exactly how I die. I think
Yeah.
knowing that would give me one of two consequences. On one hand, I would become fearless of death, kind of like Edward did. And in turn, I think that would make me take risks in my life that are extremely dangerous and perhaps even toxic to people around me. And then on the other hand, if not that, I think I would gain even more paranoia or anxiety about it because I wouldn't know when, I would just know how. So whatever it was that killed me, I'd be constantly trying to like look out for it, keep it away, avoid it. Like I feel like it would be a desperate attempt for survival my entire life.
Yeah.
So I'd kind of much rather live a life that's not really knowing, because that grants me, you know, the freedom to make my own choices without this overhanging weight of like destiny influencing how I live. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm kind of on the same track as Hannah. I don't think I would want to know, but I did kind of go into something else because I feel like if there was like a choice whether you'd figure out how you're gonna die or when you're gonna die, I would rather be like, oh, I want to know when I die. Just like if the opportunity
Like
was in
an
front of me.
age time
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
date?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
age or date, whatever. Because like I don't really care how I die, because the way I see it, when I die, I'm gonna be dead. So it's like, why does it matter?
Well, it could be like painful or
It could be,
quick.
yeah,
You could be long and slowly dying.
but then it comes back to like what Hannah was saying about how like I feel like I'm gonna live the rest of my life like constantly paranoid about it, like
Yeah.
thinking about it all the time. But if I know when I'm gonna die, based on when it is, I can kind of gauge the rest of my life and be like, okay, so is it worth it to keep working at the hours that I'm working, or should I just stop everything and like live my life to the
Yobo.
fullest now?
It's also a
But
different kind of paranoia that could come with that, where you're like,
yeah,
I'm running out of time. I'm running out
yeah,
of time. I need
Yeah,
something, you know.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yeesh.
But
Um,
I don't think I would want to know like how I would die. Too much. It's too much for me.
yeah, I'm on the same as Kyle and Hannah, but I want to throw in with the I don't care. Um, it doesn't interest
On
me
brand for
how
Frederick.
or when I die. It's just it happens to everybody. That's just something you deal with. It's very interesting. There's a book, one of my favorite books. It's called Life Expectancy from Dean Koontz, where there's this family. It starts off this family. It's in a hospital. This guy and his wife. The wife is having a baby, but at the same time, his dad had a stroke, left him unable to talk, and his dad kind of goes into like this prophetic state where he lists off 5 uh, terrible days for this guy's son. So it's kind of going on like, okay, well, we know there's going to be like these 5 terrible days for this kid, but at the same time, like, on those 5, or at least the first 4, you're not going to die because you have one more at least coming right after that. So, kind of the same concept a little bit, um, but it's more of a when instead of a what in this scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't care. Um, so
Done.
yeah, that,
Oh, I'm gonna die? Whatever.
yeah, everybody
That's
dies.
fine. That's what he would say.
It's okay.
That's my life. So I wouldn't want to know as well. I think, like everyone was saying, the paranoia of like, this is how I'm gonna die, it's coming, or that my days are numbered kind of thing. I would think about that too much to actually enjoy the rest of my life, I think. So I wouldn't want to know.
No, thank you.
I'll die when I die, thanks.
Put that eye way back under that eye patch.
Girl, no. Not today. Okay. So, do you think the town of Spectre was a representation of heaven or some other kind of afterlife?
Okay. So it's interesting because when we were first introduced to Spectre, I definitely had this inclination that Edward was possibly dead because everyone was dressed in white and, nobody could leave.
Yeah.
So I kind of got those inclinations, but I went back over this scene and also read like some of the outlines and the script for the movie
Yeah.
by screenwriter John August. And after going over that, I kind of look at it more like a purgatory/limbo situation. In one of the final outlines, Edward figures out that the people of Spectre couldn't leave because they kept making the same mistakes. and his only way out of the town was to walk backwards. So I feel like
Ah.
with the way that I've understood the idea of purgatory throughout the years and from different literary sources and things, it's kind of a place for wandering souls. People who aren't quite quote unquote good enough or bad enough for heaven or hell. So they just sort of exist in this like middle place that doesn't really change. So I kind of related it to that, where these people are doing the same things in and out every single day without any change. And so that's the reason he couldn't escape there before, was because he wasn't changing, and the reason that he got out was because he made a change and walked backwards. So, yeah, it seems like this like purgatory type of place, like a middle ground. But I do want to make clear that I don't believe there is such a place that exists, but my inclination that Spectre is a representation of this place comes from the realization that, according to other sources that have had places like Limbo, the idea that change is impossible is kind of like a unanimously agreed upon thing. So it's one of those things that it just seems like it's not, this holy golden place where everybody's good and great and grand and beyond. Pies aren't showing up on the spot or anything. Like, it's not that, which gives me the sense that no, it's not heaven, it's not hell either exactly, which it's kind of like, I know there's that show The Good Place that does something similar with it, where it seems like a good place on the outside, but it's actually not the great place.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't seem that it's quite at that level either. For me, it just seems like it's right in the middle. Nobody's changing, everybody's making the same mistakes over and over again, and that's why nobody can leave. So I feel like, in a way, Edward getting out of there was because he cheated the system a little bit, and he didn't really like fix or acknowledge any of his mistakes, but rather he just cheated the system and figured out why people couldn't leave, and that's why he left. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Nice. For me, I wrote down that I feel like it is sort of like a representation of heaven. I thought it was interesting that no one wore shoes, and they had this like telephone wire where they would throw all their shoes.
Yeah.
Not really sure what that meant, if that was supposed to be like a metaphor for something or not, but
They're free.
yeah.
The toes are free.
The town,
Tom's worst nightmare.
yeah, the town almost seems like it's too good to be true, kind of like a comfort zone kind of place. And I feel like for me, it's sort of like this double-edged sword, because the place on the surface, it looks close to perfect and a beautiful place to settle down and relax for all your life, but you may not live up to your full potential. I feel like that's apparent with Steve Buscemi's character, the poet guy, because he's supposed to be like this great, poet and everything. But he said in one part that the last 12 years he had only written like 3 lines of a poem. And to me, that just sounds like he's too relaxed and not living up to his full potential. And I feel like Edward might have saw that, and his story was just beginning at this point, and he wasn't ready to settle down, despite realizing how great of a place this could be. So I don't know, the way I see it, like, the lesson of the scene is it may be tough to leave your comfort zone, but the only way to reach your dreams and your full potential is to do so. So that's what I got.
I kind of veered off from this. I think Spectre was, like everything else in Edward's life, just an embellishment. He probably wandered through some city that he thought was great and then really hyped it up in his stories.
Oh.
I don't see it as heaven or hell. It's just some town. He saw some friendly people, and then he lied about it, just like everything else he did in his life.
Interesting.
Because
Exaggerated.
doesn't he go back and like rebuild the town?
Yeah, because
'cause it
they
gets
put a
destroyed
paved
at one
road
point.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then doesn't Will, like when he goes to see the piano teacher, Helena Bonham Carter's character, like it says Spectre, like there's a sign that says Spectre, right?
I don't know.
Like right outside.
Well, they say right outside of Spectre's where her house is.
Yeah, so like he was on the border, so like even the sun at some point kind of goes there. So I saw this like just as a real town that Edward really hyped up, and he's like, oh hey, like everything's so picturesque here, and the grass is so green. You don't have to wear shoes. In fact, they steal your shoes. No one wears shoes.
LOL.
Yeah, and so I think it's just one of Edward's stories. You can see it as, I guess, purgatory or heaven, or maybe even a hell. There's no escape, but
There's just toads.
to me, I took it as a more literal, like, oh, here's Edward with his stories again.
Freaking Edward.
Yeah, fucking Edward.
Old Edward with his stories again.
Good old Edward.
Every
Okay.
Thanksgiving, god damn it.
Yeah.
For me, I saw it as a purgatory, kind of like how Hannah was saying, the in-between place. Not necessarily good, not necessarily completely bad. And I thought it was very interesting that he was on a list. Like when he first comes in, the mayor guy is like, "Oh, we weren't expecting you until a little bit later."
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I think it could be that. And another thing, when Will does go later on, he says it's a house right outside of Spectre, which is where Jenny lives. And so I think it's interesting. He never actually goes into the town. He's just on the outskirts. So you don't actually see if it kept up, like how when Edward bought the town, to see if it's still that way or if it went back downhill. So I think it's a very interesting town. And yeah, whatever way you see it.
Interesting part about the list too is like if you think about a list like that, it's something that's like almost in waiting for you to do.
Yeah.
And like it's almost like the precursor to a choice. So like, you know, if you're on the list for a party or something, you're almost in a queue waiting to go into that party. Now whether you go into party A or party B, you know,
Cardi B.
heaven or yeah. That's her distant cousin.
Yeah.
Like whether you get into the good party or the bad party, like you're
Right.
still, when you're outside on the list, you're outside of both of those choices. So that's interesting that like the whole list is like, oh, we weren't expecting you yet.
Yeah, and then when he shows up the second time, they said he showed
was
up
late.
too late. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting.
Or, again, just an embellishment, and here's a town of people waiting for him because he has such a big ego.
They already had him on the list.
Yeah, they were
like
waiting for
top
him.
celebrities coming to Spectre. Edward
Edward
Bloom,
Bloom, that's it.
you're on my list.
Look out for this guy.
Johnny Depp's on there too.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Somewhere. Which I thought was interesting. So Tim Burton is known to put Jack Skellington's head or some kind of part of him in the
Oh,
movie.
right, yeah.
In the movies, I should say. But I don't remember seeing a skeleton anytime in this movie.
I wasn't looking for it.
It could be hidden.
It
I
could be
completely
hidden,
forgot
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, so that's his little, what would you call it?
Easter egg.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it'd be an Easter egg.
Maybe on the witch's house somewhere or something.
Maybe her
Most
glass
likely,
eye
yeah.
is a skull.
It does represent death, so.
Yeah. I just
It's
realized
the
I should have
fish.
swapped these two
It's the
questions.
Oh.
Oh well. Let's read it in order. Okay, so the next question is, Johnny Depp is usually one of the actors that stars in Tim Burton's movies. Do you think Edward Bloom's story would have been different if played by Johnny Depp?
Sorry, I have to scroll in my notes because I did not have that as the next question.
Yeah,
No.
you switched it up on us.
GG switched
Did
it.
I switch it?
Yep, you
Okay.
skipped one.
What
It's
was the one I skipped? Oh, sorry, I did skip one. Just kidding.
Well, we were just talking about Johnny Depp.
It's a good segue.
Whatever. Sorry, I completely
That's
skipped
okay. I was like, wait.
it. My bad.
Hold up.
We
Hold
moved
up.
forward in time.
Yeah,
Everything's
that's the
sped
love
up.
of my life. Sorry.
So I don't honestly think that too much would change with him being in it. I think there's a possibility that the story could become a little bit darker, and that's mostly based on Depp's sort of reputation to really, really commit to his characters. I think we might have seen like a little more, maybe a little bit more honesty with his character, or possibly more darker hinted stories that I might have even enjoyed a little bit better personally. But other than that, I think the script was pretty well set on making this movie exactly what it was. So I don't know that his performance could change that necessarily. Like, they're both great actors, him and Mr. Obi Wan. But I feel like there's a commitment to characters that I've seen with Johnny Depp that I don't necessarily see with why can't I think of his name right now?
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor.
Obi-Wan.
It's not the same level of commitment, I guess. So, yeah.
Poor Obi-Wan.
Oh dear.
I wonder if he means old Uncle Ben. Yeah, I don't think it would have been much different. I can see Johnny Depp fitting in the same way Ewan McGregor did, but personally, I think McGregor did pretty good for this movie, and I would prefer him over Johnny Depp because I mean I don't know I'm not like a diehard Johnny Depp fan or anything.
Okay.
But I feel like young Edward Bloom was supposed to look pretty young, and although Ewan McGregor was much older than his character, I'm pretty sure Johnny Depp would have looked too old for the part. And I feel like McGregor has sort of this like I don't know what it is, like this innocence about him when he's Edward Bloom, and I just don't really see that with Johnny Depp as much. So I don't know. That's what I wrote.
Yeah, I agree with Kyle. I'm going to add on that personally, I see him as Captain Jack Sparrow. Maybe that's just he's played too many movies as Captain Jack Sparrow. I don't know, but
Or you just not seen him in a lot of movies.
yeah, I would have been like expecting way too many times of like this quasi drunk mannerisms going on that he has with Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
And like Kyle said, Ewan McGregor, there was like that quality of like I think he did this whole larger than life thing pretty well. This like all this shit is for me, and like he just like I stated earlier, like just embellishing the stories to make it seem even larger than what it really was. I personally enjoyed his like semi-cocky attitude and boredom with the mundane and the search for the next adventure. Like it, to me, it seemed like more believable.
Yeah.
I don't really know if Johnny Depp could have done that. Maybe he could have. I don't know. But I don't know. I think just my own bias on what Johnny Depp has already done probably hindered what I think he could have done.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, more or less, when I was thinking of this question, was his portrayal of Willy Wonka, and like how he's supposed to be like a younger person, but like charismatic, but I found him to be more creepy. So I was thinking of him playing like Willy Wonka in Big Fish, and I was like, it wouldn't work. Like I think he'd be trying too hard, and it would end up being really creepy, kind of like I don't know. So I was just like, I don't think he can do it. But I think it would be interesting if they were to have made it a darker movie. Maybe him being in it would be interesting. But I do agree. I like Obi Wan better.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the question I skipped. My bad. Will describes Edward's stories as lies. Is that how you understood them? Did we lose Hannah?
Hannah?
Sorry, the dog's barking incessantly.
Do you want me to go first?
Trying to get her to stop. Hang on.
Just hear her beating the dog.
Just yelling in the background.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up!
I'm doing a podcast!
You will bark with bark too.
No, she's just barking back at the dog.
Okay. She stopped for now.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
There's-
We went back to the other question, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So for my answer on that one, I think no. And honestly, I think that was the point of the movie. What, like, they were trying to convey to you that his stories were not lies, they were simply exaggerations of the truth. Like, overly exaggerated versions of the truth.
But there was still some truth.
For every story that Edward told, I felt like they were more about his character more than his actual life. And it's a noble point, but I think it makes his character extremely unrelatable. Because in every one of his stories, Edward makes himself out to be this dashing hero. He doesn't make any mistakes, and he's always portrayed in this heroic light.
Yeah.
And because of that, it makes him, bigger than life and very inhuman. And to me, that kind of portrays to his son that his stories do come off as lies because, Will is not able to relate to his father because he's not grounded and he's not human in any of them. So everything is like too far out of the uncanny valley to actually be true for him, and that's what causes their conflict. So my understanding of Edward's mind is that he believes that human life is complicated, but also too simple. And so when he makes a story, they're always meant to be more than simple because he's got this issue with mundane things, kind of like Trevor said, like he can't live with himself being simply a man.
Yeah.
It's boring to him, so he has to make it interesting, make it bigger than life. But I find it very interesting in all of that. He doesn't make a single mistake in any of his stories. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
But they're not lies.
Yeah, the way I see it, it's just more like altering the truth or making something that happened just exaggeratingly better in the story than how it actually happened. Seems like every story Edward has is an exaggeration of the truth, and as his son, Will gets frustrated with that and just resorts all his stories to lies, which I totally understand because his stories are completely over the top. And while the outcomes of the stories themselves, they may be true, the details and the settings he throws in there are just really kind of out there. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, Edward, he just has this sort of weird pride for telling really good stories. And lots of his stories tend to deceive and tell lies or alter the truth. But I don't see them as straight up lies completely. Just
Straight up.
yeah.
As I stated earlier, I see them as embellishments, which are, it's the truth with some lies sprinkled in there.
Oh.
But I really don't know what to add on to that. It's just maybe parts of it happened. Certainly not all of it. Definitely not all of it. Like when he was grabbed by the tree, like a tree grabbed him,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Wait, this isn't how I die." And the tree's like, it just
Oh, sorry,
stops. Like, yeah,
My
oh,
bad.
gee, okay, my bad. Like, I don't know how else to take that other than just a straight up lie.
Yeah.
Or a metaphor. But it's fine.
Yeah, but like, if it didn't happen, what would you call that?
Maybe it was just an annoying ass tree.
Maybe
Well,
he was drunk and fell into the
I
tree.
actually kind of go into that.
And the next one.
I think in a different question.
Yeah.
But
I do bring up the trees.
I think to me, Edward just has main character syndrome,
Oh.
where like he is the center of the universe, and all these things are happening to him and like everyone else. As the piano lady, like she mentions how Edward sees all women into like two categories. Either they're, what's her name, Sandra?
Sandra. Yeah.
His wife, or everybody else.
Yeah.
So, like, no one else is important enough to even like have a name or anything, you know?
Hey, girl. Girl B.
So just main character syndrome, where like all these cool things are happening to him because he is the center of the universe. But, you know, that's not life, so like he embellishes the truth to make it seem like it's as cool as he is, or as fun as he is, or whatever you want to say.
As fun
So
as he
full
is.
of it, jeez.
Yeah.
So I just thought they were exaggerations. Not lies.
That's it.
Just simple.
Yeah, the tree only grabbed him a little bit.
Just a little.
Just a tad.
Tico.
Okay. Now we're on to, I think it's the last question, right?
Yep, last
I
one.
think so, yeah.
Okay. Brought up the trees, Trevor. Here they go.
Yep. Segway.
They're gonna grab you.
Segue into trees. Okay, so after getting caught by the trees outside of Spectre, Edward Bloom says, "This is not how I go." But I think he actually says, "This is not how I die," and it's released. Do you think if Edward didn't see how he would die from the witch's eye, his story would have ended there?
Not really. Honestly, I think in that scene it was just coincidence. I think rather that it was meant to show the viewer that Edward had complete control of his stories. He controlled every aspect, and his quote-unquote understanding of his death only highlights his ability to shape the heroic self that he wants to be around that. So the truth of the story may be that he simply got caught in some trees by accident, or even that the trees don't even exist. But it sounds more heroic if the trees grabbed him for death,
Yeah.
and he said no. Like,
No means no tree.
Yeah. Consent first. Yeah, Edward is a master storyteller, and he's obsessed with making himself more than he can in his real life. So he, you know, the scene only highlights that, and it highlights his ability to control all of that. So it doesn't matter if he saw his death or not. Like,
Yeah, Edward, it doesn't
he's
matter.
in control.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, with the amount of fantasy and imagination that this movie really relies on, it's hard to say. I mean, death by trees coming to life and ripping you apart is obviously an uncommon way to go.
Uncommon.
According to Harry Potter.
Yeah, I mean, the only example I can think of is like Gigi just said, like Harry Potter is kind of something like that, or like
The whopping.
Evil Dead did that in their movie. So I don't know, but I think if Edward didn't see his death through the witch, he would have maybe just yelled out naturally, like help or stop or something like that.
I need somebody.
And I don't know, maybe it would have caused the trees to release him. They would have been like, "Oh, sorry, my bad."
Wrong Edward Bloom.
Yeah. But I mean, this is still like towards the beginning of his story at this point.
Yes.
And I don't know, maybe it just wasn't destiny for him to die right then and there, whether he knew it or not.
I put, no, this is a movie, and that's not how movies work. Honestly, I think
No.
in this universe, I think what really happened was he probably just got tangled in some bushes, walking through a passage that was just not upkept. Because he did take the path less taken, and he probably just tried to go through a bush, got his leg stuck or something. He's like, "Hey, stupid bush," and then like he continued, and like that's all that happened. But you know that's boring. So these trees tried to grab him and probably touched him inappropriately at the same time. I don't know,
Of course.
but I doubt he was in any real danger at all.
Yeah,
So,
Edward, get over it.
Yeah, Edward, get over it.
He probably like got out of the bushes and was like, "Man, that was boring."
Yeah.
Let me spice it up. Let me add a little
Spice it
spice.
up a little bit.
So I put that I think it was more of like, I don't know if metaphor is the right word, but like leaving Spectre had its consequence, and whether it was him getting crushed by trees, or it could have been like depression or anxiety, some kind of form of that. Leaving a town that was supposedly really good, like he could have just, you know, ended his story there, lived happily, that kind of thing. But leaving that, the consequence was like, did I make the right choice? Did I, or it could be also the fact of like he left his hometown, where he was doing well. He had a maintenance company, and like everyone in town loved him, except for that one guy. So I was thinking it more of like his anxiety or his depression, some kind of
I can't see
mental
him having.
attack. Yeah, but you don't know
depression, though.
because you think he has hero syndrome. So like, what if this was his downfall? Like this was him battling with himself in some way, and then.
But his personality, though, he's very sociable. Like
He doesn't
I
make
don't.
mistakes. That's
Yeah,
the part-
But
that's
he
the
also
problem.
doesn't share with others how he's feeling or
That's
thinking.
true. But
So he
I
would
think
keep it
it's
to
as simple
himself.
as he doesn't have time for depression.
You don't know that. You don't know everyone's struggle.
That's also a flaw. And if he is painting himself in this heroic light, he doesn't give himself flaws.
Right, but that's why he created the trees in his story. Why would he tell someone?
Yeah, why would he do any of this?
I don't know. This
Make
is
his life
my
more interesting.
answer!
Because he's old and bored.
He's old and he forgot the original story.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Anyway.
it grabbed me.
So I was thinking more of the fact of like, this was his mental turmoil type thing where he's battling with himself with either like maybe not suicidal thoughts, but he's just like, no, this is not how I go. And then he's released from his depression or anxiety and continues on his way.
You know what it was? It was continuity. He couldn't, like, defer from the fact that he had already told the story about seeing his death. So he's like, ooh,
Yes.
continuity.
He's like, oh, plot.
If I die here, that won't make sense. I need to keep going.
Anakin wins! The trees are taking over.
But he did have the advantage of having never told anyone what he saw.
True.
True.
That is true. Okay, well that was my questions. I don't think I wrote down the other ones. So okay, so we're gonna go with the scores here from Rotten Tomatoes. So the audience score is higher than I thought it would be. So tomato meter says 75%, and the audience score is 89.
Damn. All right.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
Yeah.
higher than I thought. Oh shit.
Well, most movies I picked, the score is lower than I think, so I went low for this one, and it's higher.
I agree with the tomato meter, the critic score.
75.
Yeah, 75. I think the writing was excellent, and it seemed to fit the characters well. Like, I noticed that all of the dialogue was very flourishy and overdramatic, which definitely fit the themes of, like, the over-exaggerated stories. It's just, like, a lot of the characters were using dialogue that normal people would not use. So it fit them well because of the exaggeration. I also think that the characters and the themes were very clear from the beginning, but they kind of weren't enough to sustain my interest because, especially the character of Edward Bloom, he wasn't grounded or relatable. I felt like I was on Team Will for like 99% of the movie.
Team Will.
I would have liked to see more conflict with Will and his father, or some cracks in the heroic persona that Edward made himself to be that would have revealed more of his human self. Especially with him being like, quote unquote, a master storyteller. Like, he would have known to be like, oh yeah, I need to give myself some sort of flaw, or, you know, something to overcome, that kind of thing. But I just didn't see that very much. And the third thing about it is that visually this movie is stunning. Like, there's so many photogenic scenes with really incredible effects and amazing set designs, and a lot of them are incredibly memorable. So
Like Danny
I give it
DeVito's butt.
I give them a lot of credit for that. But yeah, 75 for me.
Nice. Respectable.
I can live with that.
I'm gonna give it an 80. I definitely feel like there wasn't much that I can complain about this movie. I feel like it was overall over the top, but I feel like it was on purpose, clearly, because that's just how.
I would hope so.
Yeah, that's just how the character of Edward Bloom is when it comes to his storytelling. And I mean, the stories overall, like, each one was really entertaining, and like, it was just very imaginative, and I don't know, it just felt like every 5-10 minutes we were going on a different adventure. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed the characters that he met along the way, whether they were that interesting or not. Like, I love Danny DeVito's character, and Steve Buscemi kind of, I don't even know how to describe that guy. Yeah, classic Steve Buscemi, just a wild card, basically.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, I really did enjoy Ewan McGregor's performance in this movie, even though he kind of seemed like this holier than thou type person, and like super egotistical and all that.
That's where young Anakin gets it from.
Yeah, he watched Big Fish and he was like, I'm trying to be more like you, Master.
Oh, man.
It's outrageous.
That's part of the Jedi training. It's just watching that movie.
Mandatory Big Fish viewing.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for that.
I agree with Kyle. I would also give it an 80%.
Hey.
Visuals, as Hannah said, were amazing. I think this kind of hits closer to home because I've actually known two people exactly like this, where like you have to just stop and go, okay, well, that's not true. That didn't happen. And you have to sort of, you know, piece together, okay, what did happen? Like, what do they mean by this? What can I take away from that? And I think maybe on a deeper level, like, the audience was supposed to be Will trying to piece that together for themselves. So I think that was well done. But yeah, I don't think a whole lot that, as Kyle said, I can complain about this. I enjoyed the movie as a whole. But it's an enjoyable movie.
Yeah. So I would give it an 85. I enjoy this movie. I watch this movie a lot, as I guess I would be a kid. I don't know, whatever age I was when it came out. I enjoyed it, and I think it has more like nostalgia factor with it when I watch it. I think I love the visuals of the movie. I love the story, even if they're not true or he's, ego man over here. I enjoyed it all. It's just one of those movies that I can just watch. Maybe not over and over again, but like, every once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question would be, what would you change?
For me, I would have shown that Edward Bloom in real life had more flaws. He projected himself constantly as the hero of his story, editing out any qualities that would make him appear human. So I would have changed, like, the scenes where it focused on him in his real life, and therefore the scenes where others are perceiving him. I think I would have shedded more light on his flaws and humanities, so that I would therefore benefit the viewer, because they'd be able to understand his need to be bigger than life. Like, maybe show, I don't know, like little visual cues that maybe he struggled in his life, like, overdue bills, or something that shows that he struggled to live his life, and because he struggled, that's why he found it boring, is because he wanted to make himself a hero and wanted to make his stories better than they were, because he didn't want to face them, that kind of thing, or face their mundane nature. So I would have done something visually, or read in between the lines type of thing, where you could see that struggle.
Nice. I didn't go as in depth with it, but I kind of said the same thing as Hannah. Just like show Edward Bloom as more of like a normal person, whether it be in his real present day life, or just as a young Edward Bloom. Either one. I mean, I just feel like he was not very relatable and hard to believe as a character. So maybe, like Hannah said, just like some kind of mundane like struggle in life, like something that normal people go through, just to show that he's, I don't know, more down to earth.
Human.
Yeah, human. Yeah, pretty much. That's
Maybe
it.
he's a dancer.
What?
I said maybe he's
Dancer.
a dancer.
Oh, God.
Is this
The
song?
Killers reference.
Yeah.
I just thought of something.
Oh, good for you.
I was just gonna put, like, I'm not sure what I would change, but what I would have changed is, as the credits are rolling, go back through his life and show what really happened.
Oh.
So don't take up more time during the movie, where maybe like Will is going like, okay, well, what happened here, and then like Edward's like, okay, well, that didn't, okay, so I know I said this 1,000 times, but this is what. So like, just show that during the credits.
Interesting.
Like a montage type of thing?
Yes, yeah.
Of like the highlights?
Montage.
Do you
Just-
think in
here's-
that, if they showed what really happened, he would still be played by Ewan McGregor?
That's where Johnny Depp comes into play.
It was Johnny Depp all along.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he the whole point is that he's making himself this heroic figure. Like, maybe he didn't even look like that.
Maybe not.
Oh. You like
But
fantasize.
there would be pictures. I'm sure there would be pictures of him.
True.
as a
Well, he
younger
had
person.
pictures on the wall.
Yeah.
They had pictures of him throughout the years.
It'd be funny, though, if it was Johnny Depp.
It would.
That would be funny.
So for me, I would not want to see the fish, because it looks so fake and rubbery. Like, it looked really weird. So I
So no
put like,
fish.
Yeah,
How can
I
you
put
have
to
a
do
movie
like the
called Big Fish and not show a fish?
well,
Yeah.
like I was thinking more of like how they do for Jaws, or like kind of how they did in the beginning of the movie. You saw the outline of the fish, but you didn't get like a close up of the fish. You know what I mean? Just keep it in the water, a dark, shadowy thing. Yeah.
Keep the naked lady though.
Keep the naked lady out.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, the fish reminded me of the Lonely Island's Like a Boss
Oh boy.
music video. If you have not seen that and you don't know what fish I'm
Is it
referencing,
the same fish?
it looks like
Probably.
the same fish, and that's what I thought of when I saw the fish, and I couldn't get it out of my head, so that's why the fish needs to go.
Like a boss.
Fucking fish. Yeah, so if you haven't seen that, you should watch it and then be like, ah, yes, I get the fish
Big fish.
reference.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we have no fish. Just call it Big. Wait, that's already a movie. Crap.
Well, honestly,
he was Tom
it's
Hanks the whole
kind
time.
of like a reference to him because he's fishy.
He's
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Or there's also catfish.
yeah. They
Pretend
can't
to
name
be
a movie
someone that you're
Catfish
not.
though. That's weird.
Wow.
But it'd be Big Catfish.
Because that
the
was
fish
the
was
catfish.
also representative
Yeah, that's
of
true.
like, well, at least I felt it was representative of his wife because she was the one that nobody could catch, but he did.
With his ring, yeah.
Well, the other guy caught her first.
It's true. And then he died on the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much Playboys.
Too much Playboy, because that's what people look at in the toilet. Okay,
Yeah.
so the next question. Favorite part? Favorite moment?
For me, I had 3. One was the fish at the very beginning being like, "Bro." I just love it. It's so stupid. So dumb. Like, just spitting his ring out. And, good gag. 2 was the reveal of werewolf Danny DeVito. Like,
Yes.
so over the top stupid, and I love it.
Did he say, I didn't hurt anybody, did I?
Something like
yeah.
that, yeah.
So, yeah. It's like, yep, okay. He's a werewolf now. Alright. But also, for the third one, I said some of the visual scenes, like the Time Stands Still one is obviously a really, really pretty one, and it's very well done. But I also really love the visual of him in the field of yellow flowers. Like, just
Yes.
him and then all these yellow flowers around him. Like, I thought that was just so, so beautiful. So,
It gives
Yeah,
me
Then, like, yeah, she looks out the window and he's like, hello there.
yeah, exactly. The hello there moment.
I was gonna say the field of flowers gives me Padme and Anakin in the field.
Yeah.
This isn't going to turn into a meme, right? Right?
Oh my god.
Oh,
That
man.
meme is everywhere.
Yeah. For me, I really enjoyed all the Danny DeVito scenes. I don't know why. There's something about that actor, man. He's just I
It's
don't
his
know.
ass.
They
Yeah.
offer you a Danny DeVito in these trying times.
Oh my god.
He's just so repulsive, but you can't look away like all the time for me.
He's a little gremlin.
Oh my god. Oh my
and,
god.
And the best
Can't
part
look
is
away.
he knows it too, and he embraces it, and I
Yeah.
love it. But yeah, like him as a werewolf was like so random, but like I don't know, just leave it in there, it's fine. And then more seriously, the visuals, as mentioned before already, the field of flowers and all that, and then also I really liked the shot when him and the giant, whatever his name
Carl?
was, yeah,
Yeah,
Carl. They were walking, and then right before him and Carl like split up, there's like a shot where it shows like the path that's less taken or whatever, and it goes into the woods. And then on the left is like a sunset and like just a straightforward path. I just thought that was a really cool shot. I like that shot a lot.
It's a nice, yeah.
For me, I only have one,
Oh, okay.
and it's when they're in Spectre, and he's dancing in a circle with that lady, and And then out of nowhere, that one guy shows up to like take her
The
place.
mayor? Yeah.
And he's
And then I think-
smiling.
Yeah, Steve Buschemi's like in the background, like running, trying to keep up. That was so funny.
Like, why?
Like, hey, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just Ed's face of like, wait, what? What's going on here?
We all float here.
Yep.
Yeah. I have two. The first one is the Daffodil Fields, where he's just like, I love you, well, I'm gonna marry you, and like, I love that scene. And
Just
the
like
other one, yes, exactly like that. That's how he won her.
Perfect.
And the other one, I thought of this morning was, so when he's in the hospital and Will's talking to him, and he's like telling him to tell, Edward is telling Will to tell him how he goes. You get the two different visuals of like their lives, where Edward's was all colorful. You see everyone going to say goodbye to him, and then he's taking him down to the river, and then the funeral shot is just this really dead, non-color existent kind of scene. And like, I enjoyed the different visuals where like everyone says Edward's stories were so exaggerated, such as big spectacle, and you saw that with the film color, where the reality was just dull and boring, and his stories were just full of life and color. So I enjoyed that.
Cute.
And that's it. That's a wrap. Bye.
See ya. Record time.
Dang.
You're welcome.
Do we have a teaser for the next
Yes.
movie Squak?
I do. I was debating just now, like, whether to bail on it or not.
Shoot your shot, Hannah.
No, it's because I wrote it weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, this will be a good bit, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna embarrass myself.
Do it! Do it!
You miss 100% of the bails that you don't take.
Yes.
Are you talking about hay? Okay, don't laugh at me.
Oh, I will.
I know you will. So, here's your tease. We'll be back, soon you'll see. We'll discuss another great movie. Oceans rise, empires fall. We'll be viewing our first musical, a Broadway play, at least to some, as we dive into our history with our next film, Hamilton.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey.
Where's the confetti?
I'm so embarrassed.
I'm so embarrassed.
I just want to say,
Unfortunately, we have to kick you off, though.
Hannah, you won't be joining us in the next movie.
Tribe is spoken.
you're not out of this game. You're going to Redemption Island.
Oh boy.
So what? Sorry, what's the movie?
Hamilton.
No, I know. I'm kidding.
After all that, I still don't follow.
Could you repeat that?
Yes, it's Hamilton.
Nice. I've never seen that, or I don't know anything about it, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I've not
The little tease there was a reference to the movie, so you'll get that as soon as we watch it.
Oh, I thought you were doing AC/DC.
Nope.
And until then, make sure you check out our other show, The Homie Squawk, and more movie squawks and all the squawking. And yeah.
get your catfish and smash that subscribe button.
God.
Devour that subscribe button.
Oh god.
Before Danny DeVito devours you.
Oh. Or his butt devours you.
Abuse that like button. Like Danny DeVito abuses you.
He's changed his name to Daddy DeVito.
Oh god.
Daddy DeVito has entered the chat.
Oh shit. Oh no.
All right, that's it. Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Fine, don't say bye, Trevor.
Okay.
All right, it's recording.
It's your boy, Edward Bloom. Flippity flap. Okay.
Oh, I thought that was your intro for a second.
No, that's not my intro.
I'm keeping
Okay.
it.
For my memories. Yeah, I don't have a cool intro. So